Herbs with Paul Rosen.
Our diets, our Western diets in America are just really, you just don't realize how poor they really are.
What would you say to others who would like to feel better?
Sometimes you need to find the instruction. That's where the testing and everything comes in, because without that knowledge, there's no way I could have got to the point where I'm at today.
Straight talk about health.
And then I start preaching and telling them what I've been doing. And this guy named Paul Rosen has changed my life.
With your host, Paul Rosen.
By the way, the information contained in this program is not approved by the FDA, nor intended to treat, diagnose, or claim to cure any medical condition or disease as defined by Western medicine. However, skilled practitioners of many disciplines have found nutrition response testing to be a highly reliable supportive technology for assessing the health and fitness of the body's functional system.
So I've done some reading, Paul, and here's something I've discovered. Thousands of years ago, physicians in Europe and Asia sometimes prescribed seaweed as a treatment for their patients with enlarged thyroids or goiters. So were they onto something, these physicians? Was there something in the seaweed that could legitimately treat these problems?
Well, the thyroid basically runs on iodine, and seaweed is a source of iodine.
So if you are iodine deficient, you would have this problem with your thyroid, and the seaweed restores your missing iodine.
Yes, it can, yes. But not in every case, and there are ways to determine whether or not that would be useful.
I wonder if back in the day when ancient physicians were prescribing this stuff, they didn't really know why it was working. They just knew it did. You know, here, eat this and you'll feel better. So the patient felt better and they said, I guess this works. Let's sell us some seaweed and say it's medicine.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. Food is medicine. Food is the simplest, most natural form of medicine.
And you know, there's a Japanese grocery on the Beaverton Hillsdale Highway that sells seaweed. I happen to know. I've been in there, so yeah. I guess that has its health benefits.
Yeah, but the issue is whether or not that's going to work. Wouldn't it be nice to know on the front side before you go out and start experimenting? That's where the evaluation comes in. Using the nutrition response testing technology, there are other forms of iodine or other foods and sources of iodine that are a little bit different, that may work better for some, for some folks over others. You know, I wanted to get down to the testing. The usual Western medical testing is blood testing, and the hormone that they're looking for, the mark that they're looking for, is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. However, as I mentioned earlier, laboratory testing for thyroid issues is sometimes problematic because it misses as much as 80%. So you've heard me use the word that 90%, blood tests miss 90% of the information. In this particular case, I think it would be more accurate to say as much as 80%.
Well, they're improving. They've gone from 90 to 80. They're only missing that percentage of what could be relevant to the patient's
80% of people with hypothyroidism fail to register as such with standard testing. So the main mineral that the thyroid utilizes to maintain, good function is iodine, as we were talking about. And iodine is directly involved in the development of your skeleton, your brain, other crucial parts of your body. It's a trace mineral. You can get it from not just seaweed, but you can get it from a number of different foods. I'll talk about those shortly. But the two most common conditions that people experience are, with respect to thyroid diagnoses, are Graves' disease, which is a hyperactive condition, and Hashimoto's, which is a hypoactive condition. But it doesn't matter, as I said, whether your thyroid is diagnosed as hyper or hypoactive. You have to find out why the thyroid is upset. The root cause.
Whether it's hypoactive or hyperactive.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Are the symptoms going to be the same?
Not necessarily. The symptoms might be different, but that doesn't matter. The point is any marking, any condition that is reflective of thyroid function, and I've connected that to many of them, and I'll mention them again for folks: unexplained hair loss, brittle nails, subtle ankle swelling, constipation, high cholesterol, weight gain, difficulty with sweating, fatigue or lethargy, insomnia. Oh my gosh. How many hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on, over-the-counter or even prescription medications for sleep disorders? Fibromyalgia, digestive problems like acid reflux, IBS, Crohn's disease, all connected to thyroid. Allergies. My gosh. How much allergy medicine is sold out there?
I don't think anybody would necessarily connect that to a thyroid either.
Thyroid issues. Absolutely. Guaranteed. Thyroid somewhere along the line is not happy.
So
cold hands and feet. And then we talk about PMS, right? Everybody thinks PMS is an estrogen problem or progesterone problem. Progesterone. No. Well, maybe that is part of the issue, but the root cause, go back to thyroid function. Thyroid function. A woman who experiences incredibly difficult, lots of cramps and pain. Thyroid. Got to fix the thyroid. Right? So all of those symptoms I've mentioned have a thyroid connection. Imagine. They all have a thyroid connection. That's going to be mind-blowing for lots of folks. Hopefully, opening up the awareness, the situation for them to recognize that, no, it's not you, and the medications will never, ever, ever fix a thyroid, ever. Hormone replacement therapy is simply semi-permanently shutting down the function of the thyroid, right, in favor of actually fixing it, because Western medicine has no way of identifying the root cause of why your thyroid isn't functioning.
As you discussed a moment ago, sometimes removing the thyroid is put out there as a solution. The HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, given the way you described it, sounds almost as radical, like you're trying to replace the functioning of the thyroid with something artificial.
So the way the body works with respect to hormones is something called the negative feedback loop. So if there's not enough, if the body detects there's not enough, then the pituitary gland will send out a signal. In the thyroid's case, the thyroid stimulating hormone, and that should get the thyroid to working. But if you utilize hormone replacement therapy, and the body is essentially sort of is fooled into believing that there's enough of the thyroid activity circulating in the bloodstream, then the thyroid won't even be stimulated to work. So essentially, you're just putting it to sleep, utilizing hormone replacement therapy.
It sounds like an artificial temporary replacement. That's what I'm hearing.
Called management.
The way you've described that.
It's called management. And even in management, people who utilize hormone replacement therapy still experience one or more symptoms. Maybe they're more mild than they were, or maybe they were not affected at all, but they will still be experiencing one or more thyroid symptoms, even with hormone replacement therapy.
So in that instance, you're making your thyroid not work as hard as it should. Is that what I'm hearing?
Not work at all.
Not work at all. So is your thyroid in the end like a muscle? If you don't
No,
work
it's a gland.
It's a gland, but I'm saying like a muscle. I'm not saying it is a muscle, but here's the analogy I'm drawing.
Right.
Is it like a muscle in the sense that if you leave it dormant like that and don't allow it to work, it's eventually going to lose its function or lose its ability to function at its proper level?
Perhaps. And it depends how long it's been going on. But honestly, I've worked with people who have been on thyroid medication for decades and gotten their thyroids working again. So, but it could. Anything not used in the body will, has the potential to atrophy for sure.
And again, we discussed the fact that you could have a weight issue for a long time, maybe the course of your lifetime, and not really know that the whole time it was related to your thyroid.
When you're talking about weight gain, stubborn, weight gain that is resistant to being lost. Yes. But there are so many other symptoms. The emotional symptoms, with respect to blue moods or depression or irritability, absolutely a thyroid component. So don't you believe it? Eating fresh foods is really, really important to maintain the thyroid health. And if you've ever heard that eating cabbage is bad for your thyroid, please just rip it up and throw it away. Now, form of cabbage, as I mentioned, fermented is most important. Sauerkraut is what I'm referring to, or cooked. Cooked. And that would be stir-fried or roasted or in soups or stews or things like that. Now, a food you should stay away from, absolutely for certain, is soy. You do not eat soy under any circumstances, and only if it's fermented might you consider it. I just don't like soy in general. People don't have very difficult time finding a really high-quality source of organic soy. So I just say avoid it, completely. But soy is an anti-goitogen, and that's something you should stay away from, for sure.
Anti-goitogen.
Mm-hmm. Goitogen is
related to the goiter,
which is related to
your enlarged thyroid.
Thank you. You see that? See how easy that was?
That was just parsing it down until we got to the source, wasn't it?
That's exactly right. So we talked about the impingements, the environmental impingements on the thyroid, and what are some of those things? So when it comes to foods, things like concentrated sweeteners, sugar, grains, and even fruit can have a negative impact on the thyroid. Yes.
Poor fruit. It
even
just takes
fruit.
a beating. That's too bad.
Chemicals. Some of the most common that negatively impact the thyroid are chlorine. And where would that come from, Rod?
That would come from your local neighborhood swimming pool, I assume, public swimming pool.
And most importantly, what else?
Chlorine? Boy, I don't know. I'm going to go with
your
the swimming
water.
Pool. Oh, that's right. Okay.
What you're drinking every single day. What you're showering in every single day. Fluoride. We've had separate water shows, and we will have another water show coming up at some point. But chlorine and fluoride, brominated flour, bromine is the element we're talking here.
Is that common? Brominated flour? Is that
totally?
Something?
That's processed flour, processed white flour.
But we don't know that. I think when we go to buy a bag of flour, we don't necessarily say, and make sure that's brominated.
Precisely. And there's so much more that you folks couldn't know because it's all a secret, all hidden in the food supply, but not necessarily required on food labels.
Yeah, but we don't think about it, and I guess that's the point you just made right there. We just don't know when we're buying certain products like flour that they have these unhealthy attributes in them.
What else can negatively impact the thyroid? Perfumes and fragrances, right? All of the smelly stuff that you put in the air around your house, right? You're just killing your thyroid one breath at a time.
Well, that's too bad because perfume and all that kind of thing, properly applied actually is quite appealing.
We have a solution for that. We help people choose essential oils for both to fragrance the air as well as the body. But they have to be tested first because essential oils are not just across the board okay for folks to use, because they have medicinal properties.
But then, on the other hand, if you can replace that alcohol-ridden perfume and get the same effect with something that's healthier, that's the way you should go,
We
right?
do that for all of our patients in our clinic. You betcha.
One more note, you can get a free chapter of Paul Rosen's book, The Missing Piece. Just go to his website, acunatural.com, acunatural.com, and fill out the dialog box that pops up. Rest assured, no information you provide will ever be shared with anyone else. So, what are you waiting for? Get going on your personal road to wellness today.